The Echelon Radio Network presents the Tax Matters Radio Podcast, a conversation about money for everyone, with your host, Jerri Weiss.
Welcome to the inaugural podcast of the Echelon Specialty Group, so cleverly named Tax Matters Specialty Group, TMSG, or T-Message. I'm your host, Jerri Weiss, certified public accountant. This podcast is designed to cover a wide range of topics. It is not a podcast designed just for tax professionals or lawyers. It's a podcast designed for those impacted by the complex, lengthy, and confusing tax laws. Taxes of all kinds are part of our everyday life, and this podcast is a way to bring you relevant, easy to understand, and very relatable topics to help you to make informed decisions when you begin a journey through the mystic labyrinth of rules and regulations. We will cover topics as labor law, sales tax, income tax, employment tax, insurances of all kind, real estate law, and just to mention a few. A brief bio. I'm a licensed CPA in California since 1996. I have an undergraduate degree in accounting from the Cal State University at Dominguez Hills and a master's degree in business taxation from the University of Southern California. Go Trojans. Okay. My practice is in Woodland Hills along with my partner, Quentin Staples. We are a full-service accounting firm. In addition to that, I also specialize in tax resolution services, which helps people who have not filed back taxes or other problems with the IRS that they're afraid of and don't want to call. I love the battle of fighting it. As my tagline says, I fight the fascist state of California and the evil empire known as the IRS. So, let's get started on our pathway of tax awareness and enlightenment. Today's guest is Jerri Hemsworth, one of the founders of Echelon. Main character, of course, and the chief cook and bottle washer. Welcome, Jerri, to our inaugural podcast.
Thanks, Jerri. How are you?
I am just peachy. I'm scared to death if this is my first podcast, but we're going to go in places, over the next year and have a lot of great guests. So we figured we'd start with you. You're the founder, where it all sprung from, and you're going to tell us how Echelon came to be. What was the impetus for it? What made you want to start a networking organization, and where do you see it going?
Well, it's actually been brewing for quite some time, although I didn't know how it would all come to fruition. I have been a part of networking organizations, various types, all women, men and women. I have led, NABO California for a couple of years, been a part of NABO Ventura. I led that for a year and a half as president of their boards. And I remember sitting in board meetings and constantly fighting membership and membership numbers and wondering, how can we get more benefits for our members? How can we make this worth their time besides just meeting once a month for a dinner or for a conference once a year? And I know even, serving on boards of 501c3s, how do we raise funds for the nonprofit or even 501c6, 501c3? Everybody needs to bring money in the door. And in the back of my mind, I knew there was more we could offer than running out to a corporation and asking, please be a corporate sponsor for our organization, and because membership doesn't really pay the bills, and it was always a long haul. So I'd been a member of a very large networking organization for about 10 years. I had become a leader in one of the groups, and I kept thinking there's got to be more that we can give the members. But that organization didn't have the capacity, didn't have the wherewithal, and it's a great organization. But they just didn't have the resources to produce what I knew we could do with something. So we had some people come to us and said, we know you're kicking around. We know you have a magazine that was at the time called Southern California Professional. And that was just owned by my husband, Brian, and I, because we wanted to bring professional people, their stories to light. Who are the accountants, the attorneys? Who are they when they can take the business mask off?
I still have a question. So tell us, first of all, let's go back.
Sure.
Let's go backwards for a moment, because I think those who are interested really want to know. Tell us about your background. What got you to here, and what other things do you do besides that? I know you're a professor at Woodbury.
Yes.
Tell us about that. Tell us what makes Jerri tick.
Gosh, Jerri ticks loudly when she can build things. I love to build things. I went to Pepperdine. I got a degree in communications and advertising. I worked for an ad agency, and then went very quickly actually into magazine publishing. And I ended up in the art departments of the magazine publishers because when I was in school, I earned my way through Pepperdine as a typesetter back in the day with early...
For our listeners that are maybe a little on the younger side, you might want to say, what the hell is typesetting?
Yeah, it's putting the words onto a page for magazines. Anything that had to do with the words that you see printed on the page had to go through a computer and a whole process. So that's what I did. Was I was a typesetter, and then desktop publishing came along, and we got into the Mac world and the Adobe world, and suddenly I was able to learn how to design magazines. But I'd always, because of my advertising background, I knew how magazines worked. I knew that the profit center was advertising. And so I knew production, and I knew design of magazines and publishing. So in 1996, I actually started my own business as a design firm and advertising agency, and that firm is called Newman Grace. And 3 years into it, I think our at Newman Grace we were able to provide our clients with the knowledge of how to get quality advertising space in magazines without paying full pop. And because we knew how the industry worked. So, but 3 years into it, my husband, Brian, he joined Newman Grace and brought marketing services. And so for the last, 26 years, he's been the marketing side, the marketing strategy, and I've been the creative director.
Now, he also teaches?
He teaches full-time at Pepperdine now. Yeah, he teaches in the same department I got my degree from, which is pretty ironic. He teaches advertising and marketing. And so he's a full-time professor at Pepperdine.
And you teach at Woodbury?
I teach at Woodbury. I teach graphic design. I mostly focus on typography, the typography classes that they teach, because that's actually very fun for me. But I also teach seniors how to run their businesses, or how to run a business in the graphic design field. So that's a professional practice class.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, that really rewards me.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it rewards the seniors,
yes.
I'm sure. And I bet they're having a great time.
Yeah, and it's a very eye-opening moment for them.
All right. So let's go back. So
Yes.
now you've collected all this
Yeah,
wonderful
so
experience, you're in this other organization. For those who want to know,
Right.
it is Provisors that she's referring to.
And it's a
we'll give them their credit.
fantastic organization.
It is. So, okay, so now you get to this point where you say the world's going in a different direction.
Right, digital marketing.
Yeah.
How can we help members increase their search engine optimization, their SEO? Because we know that if we've had clients in the past say, how can you get me published? I want to be published. I want to raise my search engine score. I want to be seen more. I want to be seen more as an expert, but I can't network. I can only go to so many meetings in a month and get my name and word out and firm out there. So we thought, well, heck, let's start a magazine. And magazines, as we know, generate a boatload of SEO if you do it right and you market it right and share it on social media. So we had this idea, why don't we combine a monthly meeting, an organization for members, and then the organization produces a magazine that is written by and about the members of the networking organization. So that's where Echelon came about, Echelon Business Development Network.
So wait, I have a question. How did you come up with the name Echelon?
Where all my good ideas come, Gary, in the shower.
All good. I'm convinced that all great ideas come while you're standing in the shower.
Yeah, we were trying to come up with a name, and I was trying to think, okay, how do you move to the top? How do you get to the top? What I was visually, I was mentally seeing this visual of a peak, and I thought, what kind of things can I visually put in there? And I thought, an echelon. And I went, an echelon. It's the echelon of networking. Oh, I see. It's the upper echelon.
And this is why you were in the shower.
Yeah, this is why I was in the shower, because it just hits, I'm sudsing my hair and like going, wee. But yeah, no, I suddenly, I got, oh my gosh. And I quickly called Brian and I said, what do you think about Echelon? And he goes, whoa, that's great. And then we quickly learned that you couldn't get echelon.net or echelon.com as a URL. It's all taken. So then we came up with BizDev, So anyways, it sort of spiraled into, okay, we've got a magazine. Now we can have a podcast. What else can we do? We can have members write blog posts, and we can also have a viral site where members' bios live on another site, which is called Top Trusted Advisors. I actually had purchased that URL probably about 8 to 10 years ago because I thought it was a very cool URL.
Probably that idea came in the shower also?
No, sometimes. Sometimes it's just a search engine.
Okay, so let's talk about what makes Echelon special.
Yes.
There's a lot of networking organizations out there besides Provisors.
Indeed.
Over the years, there have been lots.
Yeah,
they've come and they've gone. There's small ones. There's big ones. Mm-hmm. So tell us what makes Echelon different. What makes it unique, and what makes it attractive to professionals?
Well, it's exactly the media assets that we provide. The opportunity for a member to gain tremendous SEO by being a member. So it's basically a member. We produce introduction videos that we post on YouTube. Those videos go on to their bios on the website. YouTube and Google. YouTube is the second largest search engine next to Google. So if they were to search Gary Weiss, for example, on YouTube, your video would come up. It's very, very powerful. And we also know that if we post videos on YouTube, within 24 hours, that video will be on the front page of Google. So if anybody was to Google Gary Weiss, CPA, your website would come up, and perhaps your bio from any other organization or any other directory, but there under videos is within 24 hours is your video, your introduction video. So that in and of itself, the fact that we produce a 1-minute intro video for our members free, it's part of your membership, is of great value. Then the Google juice or the SEO. And then we encourage members to write blog posts, because then we take that video and the blog post, everything that has your bio.
For those who don't know, what is a blog?
A blog is an article, a short article, if you will, on various topics and what you do. And it can be we like it to be between 300 and 500 words on a single focused topic. If it has bullet points, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. We edit it with search engines in mind, and we put your bio, we put a link to your website, directly to your website in the blog, and then we post it on echelonbizdev.com. And that's a third-party resource for the member. It's not just a blog post on your own site, which does help establish you as an expert. But if another site is willing to put this out there on your behalf, it has extra street cred for Google. Google likes that. It's not just on GaryWeiss.com.
So let me say, as you know, I've written many blogs
Yes.
for you. And for those who...
You're quite prolific.
Yeah, it's fun. I somehow found joy in writing about tax topics.
Yes.
It's bizarre, but that's, when I say I'm a CPA and I do tax resolution, so I'm not well anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, but one of the greatest things that you do is I don't have to worry about how it looks. I don't have to worry about grammar. I mean, within reason. Mm-hmm. I know that one of the advantages of my membership in this organization is that you take that initial, and I try to keep it to 500 words, and you make it look really nice, and then it comes out and it's something worth looking at, and it gives the blogger who may not have the knowledge or the ability to blog. I know a lot of people, I want to write a blog. Yeah. Then that's where it stops because they have no idea what to do with it after that.
Right.
So part of the membership here is that you fix the blog, you make it look nice, you make sure it's grammatically correct and all the words are spelled correctly. That seems to be important. I don't know why.
For some reason.
Yeah, but that's one of the great things. So
our
blogs are great.
Yeah, our philosophy is pride of ownership. We love to give our members pride of ownership. If we can make them, and it goes even into our clients at Newman Grace. Our tagline, I have it in my emails, we make you look good. Mm-hmm. And if we can give you something that you go, hey, check this out, or share it.
Can you give us an example of some blogs that you have posted and that are available?
Yeah, I mean, all of the blogs that you've posted, and some of our members, Randy Miller, Jennifer Felton, we love building art that goes with them, and that packs a punch. It's high impact visual.
What kind of topics though?
Oh gosh, so Jen Felton wrote a blog post that was about how to. Okay, that just. It's our highest rated blog post, but it's about parent-child exchange in an estate, in real estate, parent-child, and then Randy Miller has written blog posts that are about transitioning from entrepreneur to CEO, and the pitfalls and the things you got to look out for, or the things you have to expect when you go from an entrepreneur to a CEO. And those are really, really good. Your blog posts about different tax issues are so wonderful, and it's just and they're just single focus topics. Classifying employees. What is an employee? And that's a huge topic, as you know. And what constitutes an independent contractor versus an employee? And in California, this is just a huge issue. So big that, in fact, Blake Wells, who's with the small business law firm, he wanted to do a blog post. And I said, no. This is more than a blog post. This is a magazine article. And at the last minute, I said, can you write 1,200 to 1,500 words? And we're going to put it in the magazine, which is a quarterly and goes out to...
We're going to come back to the magazine because I really want to talk about that. But let's go back for a bit. So we have Echelon.
Yes.
Tell us, who's eligible? Who are you looking for? Mm-hmm. And what's going to grow this organization?
Well, we have, much like other organizations, it's business owners, people who are service professionals, CPAs. They've been in business and had their own firm 7 years or more, are looking to develop their business beyond just monthly meetings, that have thought, I really need to do this SEO thing, but I don't know how, and I don't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars doing it. How can I at least get my foot in that door? How can I have a membership work really hard for me than just meeting once a month? and a lunch once a month.
And so how often does
the meetings, the groups are smaller groups. So they are anywhere from 10 to 20 members. It's conversation-based. It's discussion-based. And we talk about, business development. We talk about actual what's going on in your world right now, tech tips, things like that. That kind of tech are you working on? Have you heard about blah, blah, blah? And there's a real discussion in it. They meet monthly, just like other organizations. And that is, so the structure is very similar to what the other organizations do.
And how long is a meeting?
An hour and a half, like
Great.
Most of them. It's what's on the back end that's working for the members while they sleep. And that's all the media network that we have. So that's our huge, huge differentiator. Other organizations just do not have all those media assets that benefit the members. And then we also have a secondary level of membership and it's called Echelon 2. That's the associate level, and we really love this part of it. Is anybody who's new to their industry, or 7 years or less. We have groups that are strictly learning how to network. What do you discuss? How do you pitch business? And it's a really great part of Echelon that members really love, because a partner may be in Echelon, what we call Echelon 1, and then they have associates in Echelon 2, and they're all learning how to make it rain.
Excellent. So we're going to conclude with the magazine. So tell us about the magazine and
Echelon
why that's so important and what kind of impact it has for the members and for the people who read it.
Right. We reserve 2 to 3 features that are biographies on members of the organization. And like our cover feature this quarter is Kendra Thomas. She's a family law attorney, and she practices in LA and Orange County. But what people don't know about her is that she loves karaoke and she's a skydiver. So all of a sudden there's something that, okay, we know a lot of family law attorneys, or we know a lot of CPAs, but what is she really passionate about when she takes off the mask of business? And who is she as a person? And that's where we get to really showcase our members as humans. They're humans first. And we know if somebody makes a connection with her as a result of karaoke or skydiving, that they're likely to reach out and develop that connection and refer business back and forth. And then there are features reserved for members to write articles. And that's where, like you just wrote an article on the innocent spouse.
When it applies and when it does not apply.
Yes, exactly. And that is huge. If you've got a spouse that hasn't paid the payroll taxes in the company, and suddenly you divorce, and guess who's holding the bag?
Yeah, the innocent spouse. Which is,
the innocent spouse who says, I didn't know.
My wife read that. Okay, so I gave it to
and
her.
What happened?
I was very, first of all, I was very proud that I finally got published.
Yes.
I read it to her, and she came in and says, this can't be right. This doesn't make sense. And I said, you're absolutely right. But again, the purpose of this podcast and the purpose of all that we're going to do is to inform people.
Yes.
So let me ask
it's
you one last...
Those articles are informational, and those get posted online, as well as it's printed and is circulated to a lot of places in LA.
Yeah, and by the way, for those, if you have a chance, please get a copy of that magazine. It's
Echelon
very slick.
Professional.
It looks incredible. Jerri has done a phenomenal job of making a really nice piece of artwork.
Thank you.
Okay,
EchelonProfessional.com.
Excellent. That's what's good. So if somebody wants to join, who do they talk to? How do they get a hold of? Right. What do they need to do if they're not a member and they want to join?
The very first thing they do is they need to go to EchelonBizDev.com. EchelonBizDev. EchelonBizDev.com, and at the top of the homepage is a membership interest form. Fill that out, and our directors, Renee Jacobs, or our director, will reach out to you, and we send those membership interest forms through a committee. They get approved. We get you into a meeting to see how you like it, and if you like it, then you join, and that's it's that easy.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary.
Well then, intrepid listeners, that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank our inaugural guest, Jerri Hemsworth. Thank you very much. Please look for future podcasts right here, same bat time, same bat channel. Future guests will include Blake Wells, Matt Coletta, Catherine Stark, Larry Goldman, and others as we continue on our quest for enlightenment and knowledge, or at least to have a bit of fun. It just sounded good. I am your host, Gary Weiss. I look forward to spending time with you all again. See you real soon. You all come back now. You hear?
You hear?
The Tax Matters Radio Podcast.
Presented by the Echelon Radio Network.
And Echelon Business Development.
More than just networking.
Way more.